Tattoo artists of Reddit, what is the most fucked up thing you've tattooed? I once tattooed nipples on a guy's butt cheeks, so his ass would look like tits. Eric Cartman. I knew a guy that got a tattoo of a dick on his dick, so he could ask people wanna see my dick, and they would usually protest no. He would follow up with it's a tattoo laughing, so they would be like oh okay, awaiting a humorous tattoo of a dong to be displayed to them. This was, as you know, a false sense of security. A lie, a crime, a bamboozle if you will. He would pull down his pants and whip out his dick on a dick, much to the dismay of all parties present with the exception of him of course. Funny character that one. Anyway, he did a lot of meth. Can't really say I'm surprised with the end of your story. In prison I knew a guy with half his name scribbled backwards on his forehead. The only explanation I could come up with was he was tattooing himself in the mirror and halfway through realized it was coming out backwards to everyone, so called it quits. Bright one, that dude. Edit tat, E. Girl had a dream about marrying a dolphin. She got a tattoo of her as a mermaid, rising from the water in an embrace with the dolphin. Halfway through, after hitting on me the whole time and telling me stories about an abusive ex, she started arguing about the color scheme and left with only the outline and some shading. What's up with the increase in people wanting to duck dolphins? Edit, I regret asking. A few years ago everyone was learning that dolphins aren't the wholesome and noble angels of the sea from Flipper. Instead of putting people off dolphins, it attracted the same crowd who send nudes to serial killers. This sounds too plausible for comfort. Edit, I just learned you can tattoo nipples on your butt cheeks and get ass boobs. Thank you Reddit. Tattooist here. The list is long, but the one that made me laugh the most that I've done is Willy Coyote's arm poking out of a dude's butt, holding a sign that said help. Excuse me, I was under the assumption that this thread was about bad tattoos. This is ducking incredible. The mentor I apprenticed under once put the word trust on someone's dick to pick up girls. Hey baby, can I put my trust in you? I knew a tattoo artist that had tattooed Mr. Peanut on his penis. It looked like a blue blob. He claimed the skin was the reason and not his shitty tattoo skills, but he once posted a picture of a buck with antlers that looked more like a pig with antlers. He was so proud of it, but it was so terrible. I really wish I had seen his work more before I had him try to cover up a small tattoo on my stomach. I figured where I was getting a super simple heart with a puzzle piece in it, that nobody would be able to screw that up. He had the whole professional setup and everything, so I figured he knew what he was doing. I was wrong. Now I need to get a cover up of my cover up. I was a piercer for a few years at a local shop. During my first year of my apprenticeship we had a younger, 20-something male who had come in to get his forehead tattooed. I handled majority of the paperwork for the tattoo artists at the time as well, and he had requested the word fuba to be done. He went back into the booth with the artist at the time and was told to come back the next day after he slept on it because you know, it's permanent and we wanted to make sure he was 100% certain. To all our dismay, he returned the next day to proceed with the tattoo. He had told us while getting tattooed that it was payback to his mother for favoring his older brother their whole life, and he wanted to return the favor of how much she ducked up his life. I'll never forget the smile on his face as he walked out the door. This one seems the most ducked up so far to me. What the hell? That's the wrong kind of revenge. Once the heat of the moment is gone, that tattoo would become useless. Guy must be regretting now. My lesson. I have tattooed fear on my ring finger less than an inch. It could have been covered mostly with a ring, but that little showing of the tattoo had a negative effect on my interviews. I have lasered it after many interviewers would notice the tattoo and kinda see their reaction change. I won't tattoo anything on my hands, face or neck in the future. Lesson learned. Matching his/hers tattoos on this couple. He was a coworker of my wife's, and I told her that he'd come in with his girlfriend. She say, "You mean wife?" No, definitely a new relationship. His wife was at home with the kids. Aside from that, nothing terribly wild. I did a small portrait of Donald Glover in whiteface. That's pretty ridiculous. When I was getting one of my tattoos, the artist showed me this horrific piece he was begrudgingly working on for a client. It was a big arm tribal piece, and mixed in the tribal were little guys lifting weights. It was for a gym bro. Kinda like the little moving guys in Moe's tattoos in Mana. Edit, cheers for all the love in the silver. A dude who was a regular customer at an old job got a scorpion on one forearm and a tarantula on the other. Only their heads were replaced by Beavis and Butthead. Edit, the lines and details for the arachnid bodies were blown out a bit, and blurred. Beavis and Butthead were mostly intact. Heh heh, that dude seems cool. Heh heh HM heh. One of my drunk friends poorly tattooed the words your name onto the ass cheek of another drunk friend. Also he could use the I've got your name tattooed on my ass line. Steve-O blazed the trail on that one. Not a tattoo artist, but once in jail I held 12D batteries in a rolled up newspaper to power a homemade tattoo machine while a friend tried tattooing the word king on his dick. He made the first stroke on the K and decided it hurt too much and that it would make a nicer cross instead. LMAO. I bet you've never read that particular set of words on Reddit before. I used to work with a guy who had a tattoo on the side of his body that was a woman squatting over a pond full fire hydrant pissing into it. Inside the pond was floating decapitated heads. When I asked him WTF was this, he told me that the woman was his ex and the heads were all his kids. I asked why is she pissing on them and he told me he has a piss fetish. Well, that just got worse with every word. Not a tattoo artist, but my son has the entry stamp from his favorite nightclub tattooed on his forearm. It got him free entry for a full week before his friend stole the club stamp and they bought a new different stamp. Your son's friend is terrible. Bahahaha, that's the best part. My son thought it made it funnier and he already felt guilty about not paying the cover charge. Later, he showed the manager who thought it was all hilarious and ended up giving him free entry anyway. Best ending. Bossa on a surfboard playing a double neck guitar over a pot leaf over a cross with the text happy birthday Rick. Duck, where do I know this from? Whitest kids you know. Tattooed a Jack Skellington head the size of a dinner plate on a girl's lower back. Tried to talk her out of it cause she was young and tiny but she insisted. I feel lachrymose. Lachrymose, adjective, to be tearful or given to weeping, inducing tears or sad. Had to google it, but hey, nice word, adding to my lexicon. Related trivia, the medical name for the tear ducts is lacrimal ducts. Had a woman come into the shop one time way back who looked like she'd been in a tanning booth 8 days a week for the last 40 plus years. She wanted to get her locked up man's name tattooed on her, but she wanted it down there. She convinced me to get one eye closer to her jukebox than I was comfortable with and had me tattoo Billy Jack's wussy so far up in there that I think we are common law related now. Name slightly changed for anonymity. Best part is that a couple weeks later Billy Jack called me from prison. Tell me how much he loved the tattoo. It was a collect call too. God damn it. Thanks for bringing that memory back. I was almost over it, lol. Hey, at least he liked it. Yeah, that conversation could have gone a lot worse. You have a collect call from Wasitad Lux, great thanks. Will you accept the charges? Not an artist. While I was getting some ink done, this group of guys come in and chat up one of the artists. They are all pretty chummy and the guy asks to see my ink. After he looks at the piece I'm getting done, his artist friend suggests he show me his new masterpiece that he did for the guy. This guy takes off his shirt and turns around, just grinning his ass off with pride. There before me was a full back piece, displaying 3 cloaked and hooded members of the KKK. It had burning crosses, what looked like people hanging from trees, and the 3 Klan members. I had another artist down the road finish my work, and avoided that parlor after that. Good call. One of the best pieces of advice I ever got when I started managing my friend's parlor was from an older tattoo artist, because I asked specifically about what do I do if someone comes in and asks to get something racist done. The owner was like, money's money. If the artist is willing to do it, it's not your job to say no. The lead artist's response, no, you tell them to get the duck out, to not come back, and to let all their racist friends not to come by at all. If your shop gets a reputation for being a place that tolerates racists, eventually that's your entire base. Yeah, it's the same with bars. As soon as it gets around that you don't kick out Nazis, you become a Nazi bar. Jinkies. My tattoo artist told me he made a snake out of a guy's dick, scales covering the whole thing, different strokes for different folks. Pretty gnarly. Okay. So I'm just gonna ask, because why not at this point? I'm already here. So, how does this work? Do you have to be erect to actually get the tattoo? I'd imagine regardless, that tattoo is going to look widely different, while flaccid and vice versa. Edit. Thank you, everyone, for the answers and upvotes. This is sadly my most upvoted comment ever. Why is it gotta be about tattooing a dick? My brother lost a bet in a frat house. Had to get a tattoo of a ladder on his rear end going towards his anus. And they played snakes and ladders a little differently in that frat house. Stairway to Kevin. I saw a guy who got tattooed a giant square on the forehead. Probably a cover up of a swastika or some other shit like that. My uncle had tattooed on his penis high dock after his numerous aftershore leave to get his penicillin shots. Penicillin shots. Not an artist, but have seen two awesome examples. 1. Woman at a tattoo convention had the names of all her ex-boyfriends tattooed around her anus, so every time she wiped her ass, she would cover them in shit. 2. Marine I served with was a tattoo apprentice, so he took his kit everywhere. On a special assignment after some heavy drinking, another Marine in our detachment requested a special tattoo, the great big green weenie with red veins spelling USMC along the shaft. The location for the tattoo, his left butt cheek. Oh Marines, you never cease to amaze me. How TF does this person wipe their ass that it's smearing the shit around? Not a tattoo artist, but I once saw a dude get a tattoo of a dick. My wife knew someone in school who was in a big hurry to get their first tattoo, and it turned out it was of a surfing pig. There's a restaurant in Hawaii that gives you a discount if you have a tattoo of a surfing pig, so at least they have that going for them. I won a taco eating contest and the prize was a taco tattoo, so I can get free tacos for life. I was actually tattooed in the restaurant, in the bar/lounge area. I got it on my right foot and later had my artist add I don't want a taco about it above it. Last year I got a nacho with it's nacho your business on my left foot. It's nacho business, I don't want a taco about it. I know they are goofy as hell, but I have no regrets, because feet are silly, and it makes me laugh. Also, free tacos. Eater, pictures. I'm cheesing so hard in the first photo, because foot tattoos feel so weird, and so this is the best smile I could muster. Oh, and also tequila. I'm a detox nurse. A patient had a dick tattooed on the back of his shin, so he could tell people he had addiction. Addiction. Not making that up lol. A zombie wearing a purple basketball jersey hacking a guy's arm off and vomiting. The guy's also vomiting up at the zombie and the streams of the two are meeting in the middle. I've also done a cartoon fish being choked by another fish's poo. The choking fish is trying to unravel the poo. At the top of this sleeve there's a first holding an aquarium net. To cross joints over a Jamaican flag and the smoke forms the date of the first time he smoked weed on a cruise with his parents. I have Waldo on my taint. I'd like to think that there's a wonderful person out there for you with comments and ego on their taint. My wife won't do it. I put 667 on a dude's forehead for him, neighbor of the beast. Not a tattoo artist, but when I got my first tattoo I was asking the artist a bunch of questions and I asked him the same question. He responded saying that he once tattooed stars inside a woman's vagina, but that wasn't the weird part to him. The weird part was that she brought her daughter along for moral support. Wait, inside the vagina? Inside? How? Or was it inside the labia lips? I'm assuming so, but my artist was a dude, so he probably doesn't know 100% anatomy of a woman's vagina. I know a guy with a tattoo of the Queen getting ducked by a horse, that is getting rear-ended by Prince Harry. Safe to say the dude had issues. Edit, for the curious. Saw a girl get her entire anus tattooed. It was a Japanese cherry blossom flower I believe. Kinda like that one woman that got all the tentacles coming out of her. Octawasi, I think. I'm a tattoo enthusiast, but hell I'll never understand why people are getting anything done in the genital/rectal area. You do you, but duck I just can't grasp it. Not a tattoo artist, but my friend got a text tattoo saying only judge can God me, like well that's your umbra. That's some serious commitment towards shitposting. My friend has a tattoo on his calf of a sperm whale with a throbbing cock coming, and under the tattoo it says you're welcome. Not an artist, but an artist friend was working on his portrait skills and tattooed a portrait of Terry Shaver on his thigh. The picture was from a newspaper article in peak vegetative state when the controversy was at its highest. Every time he looks down, there's old Terry smiling back at him. Oof. This is by far the strangest thing I have read today. Obligatory not an artist, but I was in the shop getting tattooed when a girl came in and got all you can eat for under $1 on her waistline with a dollar bill under it plastered right there for any man or woman who was gonna go down on her. Hands down the greatest tattoo I've ever seen, even if it was ducked up. Sure she's doing real well these days. Not a tattoo artist, but a comment here reminded me of when my friend went in to get unscared because we're southern and we make up words, yet he and the artist were too high, maybe, to realize they had overlooked the misspelling and it became unscarred. I mean, slightly ironic at least. He has since had it covered and redone below it with the proper spelling. Ironic edit for spelling. Worked with a guy that was changing his shirt one time and he had a big elephant head on his stomach and the trunk disappeared below his belt line. He saw my notice and without me saying anything just nodded and said yup. Was it a proud yup or a no god I'm so tired of this now yup? He had a smirk on his face, but eyes full of sadness. Not an artist, but while getting my first I saw a guy getting a Pikachu blowing his brains out with a revolver stuck in his mouth tattooed on his thigh. He actually stopped halfway through and told the artist to add more gore. I dated a girl once who had a Maltese Iron Cross tattooed on her anus, like centered on it. She said she did it for her ex who was a skinhead. A better man might have noped out right then, but I was already looking at it, so, you know. I appreciate you for this story. I could wax on philosophically about the strength of a man putting his integrity ahead of his carnal desires, or saying no to an obvious poor life choice, but that ain't me. When opportunity winks its brown eye, I wink back. I thought you meant a dog, and was very confused. Not a tattoo artist, but I asked a similar question once when I was getting my own tattoo. He said the weirdest thing a client had asked for was bugs in her nether regions, made to look as if they were crawling out of her vagina. That's a mental image I'll unfortunately never forget. A former Marine commemorated Bin Laden's death with an eagle's head, the words boom, headshot, and the date. Edit, he wasn't active or connected to the raid. It was the literal day it happened, and he was very excited, and I was a young kid who needed money. Obligatory not a tattoo artist, but you know those stereotypical hearts with mom written on a banner over the heart? I know a guy with that, but instead of a heart, it's a semi-realistic dick with wings, mom banner and all. I'll tell you the most ducked up thing I refused to tattoo. A couple brought in a picture of their tiny stillborn baby and asked me to do a palm-sized portrait of it. It was purple and had a pained expression. They just stood there looking vacant and hopeful while I composed myself and summoned the words to let them down easy. This job can be crazy sometimes. This one is actually really heartbreaking. I'm not the artist, but hyper-realistic porn star facial tattoos do exist. Here are a couple of examples. NSFW. NSFW. Me, what? People are getting tattoos of porn stars on their face? Weirdos. I guess I'll look. Oh god, no. That's so much worse. Just why? Oh god, no. That's so much worse. Just why? To make sure real women never have sex with them? I had the same unfortunate experience. Jesus ducking Christ, why the duck? All my tattoos have special meaning to me. They are good conversation starters. Conversation enders. Not a tattoo artist. I work at a prison. I see lots of outrageous tattoos. There is a guy we call Joker. He has element of a deck of cards all over his face. His attempt was to look like a Joker card. Lots of teardrops. One guy shaved his eyelashes and had the word convict tattooed over each eye as a replacement. His in-laws must be proud of him /s. I'm reluctant to take any measures to suggest who they are, but I think most probably regret their decision. I have a full-blown native guy in the facility I work in that is absolutely plastered with white supremacist tattoos, swastikas, the SS lightning bolts. His entire back is taken up by the Nazi party eagle, the works. He's not very popular amongst anyone. Eyelashes. You have no idea how badly I hope you mean eyebrows. I mean, it's still twisted, but the idea of shaving eyelashes, I can't even, lol. One of my friends was drunk and high in 9th grade and tattooed a kidney bean with a face on his thigh. Years later we would still laugh when he showed us how it was, in fact, still on his leg. Another one of my friends in 7th grade told me he got bored on the bus and tattooed a big smiley face on his forearm. I prayed that he was just joking, but I believed him once he pulled the tattoo needle out of his jacket pocket and showed me. Indeed, it never went away. I always thought it was dumb as duck to do something so permanent at such a young age, but he died in a motorcycle accident a few years later in high school. So in retrospect, I guess I'm glad he did what he wanted to do. I started to tattoo my name on my ankle in 11th grade, but then halfway through I started thinking that ankle tattoos were for girls, and my name was a very stupid thing to tattoo, so I scraped/scrubbed/cut it off a few days later. Where are all these middle schoolers getting tattoo needles and ink? I remember that being a week-long lived frenzy back in middle school. Girls from the class just stick and poking stuff on their ankles with sewing needles, black pen ink and hand sanitizer. Have a family member who has a cat on his stomach and his belly button is the cat's asshole. I read about a tattoo artist who said in an interview he once tattooed a man's scrotum in tartan. Was he Scottish? I didn't ask. Not sure this counts, but I did those silly pen and marker tattoos back when I was in school. Kids would pay me school currency for tattoos I could do as I was apparently pretty good at it. This went on through high school. I'm also very well educated in world history, even at a time when I probably shouldn't have known what WW2 was about, or those who fought in it. I think you see where this is going, and you're right. Someone tried to pay me school money for a swastika. I flatly refused. He then got pissy and tried to have my tattooing operation shut down for refusing to tattoo him. This just ended up creating more of a market for it. When I was eventually called into the office to be reamed out by the school staff, I cut them off mid-rampage to ask, "Do you even know why Nazi complained to you in the first place?" They didn't, naturally, so I told them. That ban was quietly lifted. I've since actually drawn stupid shit like penises and stuff like that. One girl asked me to do a poem on her back. I just wrote no on her back in a really fancy font and design. Got a good laugh out of that one. Not a tattoo artist, but my mum's got a mallet in the past. So one time I was sitting in the shop waiting for her while she was using the bathroom, and it took a while. So I wandered over to one of the chairs and started browsing one of the books, and this 20-something hot blonde chick walks in. I guess she thought I worked there because I wear a lot of black and I was near a chair. She proceeds to tell me in horribly graphic detail without letting me get a word in edgewise how she wants blooming roses tattooed done around the area of her vagina, and she ducking flipped her mini skirt up to show me she was going commando just so she could gesture around the area. My jaw was on the floor at this point when the guy walked in from getting lunch, and bless him, but he was far too late, ran over there and slapped a hand over my eyes and told the lady I was 14 and didn't work there. She was slightly embarrassed and very confused, but after confirming he worked there, began to tell him what she wanted with her skirt still flipped up. I finally left with my mom after hearing that explanation twice. About a month later my mom came back for a touch-up, and I asked about the girl. Apparently she was tired of dealing with her pubic hair and decided a tattoo on the area would be the best solution to ensure hair stopped growing. Edit. Okay, I never said a tattoo would prevent hair growth, that's just what she thought. I wouldn't say she had top marks in intelligence. I did not look like an adult when I was 14, and she thought I worked there. If you wanna get a tattoo, it's not going to stop hair from growing, not a 100% at least. I don't think that's how it works. Can the recipient of one of these bad tats chime in? I got my skeleton done. I started with my left hand, then my face, lips and all. Having your lips tattooed feels like having them sawed slowly with a steak knife. I was streaming tears and sneezing, and the owner of the shop kept asking if I was okay, while the #2 guy covered from tip to taint with tats kept saying I was crazy. Anyway, after about 4 hours of line work on my face, we did my other hand and arms to the shoulder. The good news of titanium white ink from Crazy Chameleon only shows under a black light as long as you don't scar badly. The bad news is the black light material is suspended in a polyethylethylpropylene SP solution, so it stings extra bad while being tattooed, and after 10 years without sunscreen they are totally gone. Also, that crap is expensive. TLDR, don't get black light tattoos on your face. Do you have any photos from when it was visible that you're willing to share? Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to my channel for more curated daily Reddit stories.